This is going to be a quick look at creating a project using Visual Studio. So to start Visual Studio, we go to the Start menu and select Visual Studio. Visual Studio 2010 is the version of Visual Studio we're using in this class. That's what's on the computers in the lab. Now, Visual Studio is an integrated development environment, which means it takes care of everything for us. It's not just an editor, but it has compilers, libraries, linkers, and it does all of that work for us. As with most integrated development environments, we don't work with single files, but we work with projects. So we're going to create a project. Now, when we start Visual Studio, we come to this Start page, and I can either click here on New Project, or I can go to the menu and click File, New, and Project. Now, Visual Studio supports all of the development languages that Microsoft has. We're programming in C and C++, so we're going to go, that's under Other Languages. We're going to go to Other Languages and select Visual C++. And then within that, there's a whole bunch of different types of projects so that we can build. We're going to be working with console applications. So that's Win32 console application is the type of application that we want to build. And we go down to the bottom of this form here. We enter the name of our project. So we'll call this one Week 1. And then the next part is important. This is the location of the project. So this is where it's going to put it on our computer. We click the Browse button, and we can put it wherever we want. What I like to do is put it on the desktop for when I'm working in a classroom like this. So I'm going to select that, and I also like to create a directory for my solution. So I'm going to make sure this button is selected. That just keeps my, either way, the whole thing is going to be in a directory called Week 1, but it keeps it a little more organized if I put this solution in a directory. So I'll click OK and then just finish, and that creates a folder that contains my project. So I will just start up the file browser here and we'll have a look. So if I go to the desktop, there's Week 1. So this is the folder that I just created. I'll double click on that, and inside there are the files and folders that make up that project. And the important one to look at is this .sln. It's the one that has the Visual Studio 10 icon. So let's remember that. And again, to the desktop, this folder contains my entire project. So if I'm going to save it off to a USB drive or USB key or network drive or wherever, that's what I need to save, the whole folder. Okay, so let's close that, and I'm going to come back here and I'm just going to close Visual Studio, and we're going to look at how to open up that project. So I've got my project, it's on the desktop, I've come back to class, taken it from my USB key, put it on the desktop. I'll double click on that to open it, and then I go to that file that has the Visual Studio 10 icon. It's .sln. I'm showing the file extensions. You may not be on your computer, but you will know it by the name of the project, and it will be the one that has the icon. And I can just double click on that. I guess it's a badge. It says Visual Studio, and that will open that project for me. Now I can also open it by, I'll close this, I can also open it by starting Visual Studio, and when it starts up, rather than create a new project, I can go to Open Project here, or I can go to File, Open Project/Solution, find my project. So my project directory is Week 1. Now, what I have to open though is that solution file. So I double click on Week 1, and then in there is my Week 1 solution file. Again, the icon with the same badge saying it's Visual Studio 10 solution. And I double click on that, and that opens up my project. Okay, so that is creating a project in Visual Studio, saving it, where does it go, and what do I have to save off to my USB key or my network drive or wherever I'm going to keep it safe, or take it home with me, back it up, etc.